nobody on this road that can save your soul. Almost lost control now. Tell me what you need in a friend and now. Pray that we endure to the end again. I'm just saying that I'm here for you. When the world turn against you, I'ma be with you. Got my soul in my hand, you can count on me. I won't run and hide, fight mightily.
Waiting on O.F.I. See the Jacob, I'm the apple of my father's eye. I learned the truth for who I was and it made me cry. If I don't keep the laws of Yah, then I'm gonna die. Living curses, but I'm edifying in my verses. Prepare the hearses for the heathens who be steady.
Khan. All praises to the Most High God, Yahweh by Mashiach, Kamalak Yahushai, on this mighty Wednesday. Now, I've normally been kind of the Wicked Wednesday from time to time, but tonight, through the Spirit, the Most High put something in my spirit in terms about being prepared, preparation, right? Preparation is key, and it's truth for salvation. Preparation is key in this truth to obtain salvation. And what I was reflecting on this morning, I was studying in our first Edges, right? And there's a couple of things I want to bring out to the Spirit. We see that this is in the time of King Josiah when he held the feast of the Passover in Jerusalem. And what I was reflecting on is all of the preparation that had happened in between the time of, you got to understand, this was the 18th year of Josiah's reign where this Passover was kept. And it said no Passover had been kept in Jerusalem since the time of Samuel, right? We're going to bring it out. Let's look at First Ezra chapter 1:1. And Josiah held the feast of the Passover in Jerusalem unto his Lord, right? And we know this is going into Yahweh. And offered the Passover the 14th day of the first month in the law, having set a priest according to their daily courses, being arrayed in long garments in the temple of Yahweh. So even when it comes down to the preparation, how in order for the priest to perform the Passover, because every Levite was not a priest, right? You know, the sons of Aaron were the Levitical priesthood, but we know that every Levite wasn't a priest, but every priest was a Levite. This is how we say every every Israelite isn't a Jew, but every Jew is an Israelite. Similar to that. So when you go into preparation and being able to be prepared, we see a couple of things are key. And he spake unto the Levites, the holy ministers of Israel. As we know, according to the law, the Levites, the sons of Aaron, were given for the priesthood, that they should hallow themselves unto Yahweh. So even in order to be a priest, you had to be holy, right? You had to go through cleansing to hallow yourself. You had to be prepared and prepare yourself in order to serve the Most High. You couldn't go into the temple unclean. Even when you get into it, the Levites couldn't even be defiled by any dead body. And we're going to get this real quick. Leviticus 18, a part of that preparation. Leviticus 18:24. Defile not yourself in any of these ways, for in all these the nations are defiled, which I cast out before you. And through the Spirit, we know that 2 Peter 1:9, I believe, or 2:9. Let me get the quick precept. But we are the I believe it's 2 Peter 2:9 that I want. That like it. We are that royal priesthood now, right? Now we're not saying that the royal priesthood of Aaron is replaced, the Aaronic priesthood, but we know 1 Peter 2:9, Salakia, but ye are a chosen generation. This is talking to the Israelites, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people, that ye should show forth the praise of him whom hath called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. So we once walked, before we came into this truth, in sin, right? We were committed to sin. We were giving over ourselves wholly into iniquity. So when we go back to Leviticus 18 and 24, defile not yourselves in any of these things, for in all of these things the nations are defiled, which I cast out before you. So from that perspective, in order to not be defiled among all of the nations and in the same ways that the other nations were, we have to be prepared. We have to have a spirit of preparation, right? In order to obtain salvation, it all starts with preparation, right? Preparation is a prerequisite for salvation. If you're not preparing your household, if you're not preparing your spirit, if you're not preparing yourself with good works, if you're not preparing through examination, if you're not preparing through fasting, right? Which I definitely got to do more. You know what I mean? Like my fasting is horrible. Playing it on table is horrible. You know, the last time I fasted was the Day of Atonement. It should be fasting to prepare your spirit and to prepare your body to get used to going without the things that please your flesh. Because at the end of the day, and this brings me to Matthew 4 and 4, right? But he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. So we should be preparing our spiritual self to be edified and to be nourished with the word. So therefore we're not depending on these carnal mortal bodies, which break down. You know, if you don't continue to feed your body with food, right? Or so like when you afflict your soul by not eating, what happens is that your carnal impulses are less empowered, for lack of a better word. When your spiritual self is being built up, you walk more in the spirit. So back to preparation, when you go into this first Esdras and you think about the Levites, let me get this real quick. 1 Corinthians 14 and 40. Let all things be done decently in order. So a big part of preparation, and I remember when I used to be in the so-called 5% nation studying that school of thought, right? They would say proper preparation prevents a poor performance, which is true. If you think about athletes, right? Muscle memory and different things, or even if you have that athlete and it's fourth quarter, the score is tied, right? They're at the free throw line. There's 2 seconds left on the clock, right? And they got fouled, and they're sitting there it's a 1-and-1, right? If they miss the first free throw, the other team has the ability to get the rebound, to go down, to score, all types of things happen, right? But if they make that first free throw, then they can shoot that second free throw and have a better opportunity of sealing the game. So a lot of the times you have certain players that they prepare themselves for these game moments, for these certain moments. They may be after practice, they may shoot 1,000 free throws a week. You know, they may shoot 100 free throws a practice. You follow what I'm saying? Hey, every day for 30 days, right? So every day they shooting 100 free throws. That's 3,000 free throws. So they're preparing themselves for certain situations. So that there's an order of preparation. Even when you go into math, right? There's something called PEMDAS when you go into math. The order of operations, right? PEMDAS is a mnemonic for the order of operations in mathematics. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division from left to right, and addition and subtraction from left to right. So there's an order of operations in things. Even if we look in the book of Genesis, the first chapter, right? We see that the Most High God even created, there was even an order. I want to get this in KJV. There was even an order in which the Most High has wrought creation through Hamashiach Yahushua. So everything we see is an order, just like when we say in the Hebrew prayer, in earth as it is in heaven, right? There's an order to all things. So when we go back into this first Esdras, what really sparked this and what really brought this to my attention is the preparation that the priesthood was in. Even the preparation of the king to continue the order that David has set. This is Josiah. If you look on the span of time, right? the time between King David, right, and King Josiah, right? Let's see. It says there was approximately 300 years between King David and King Josiah, right? With David ruling around the 10th century BCE and Josiah is reigning in the late 7th century. There's around 300 years gap in between their rulership. But notice the preparation that David had put forth, because preparation is generational as well. The things that we're doing right now through the Spirit have been prepared before time through the Spirit. A lot of the men and the women who are in this truth, the Israelites who are enduring, right, for the elect's sake, for the hopeful elect's sake, those Israelites have been pre-prepared and predestined aforetime through the Spirit. So back to preparation being generational, the things that you do today, the way that you're preparing your household, the way that you're preparing and governing your lifestyle based on righteousness is actually setting a course, right, for future generations. Now, we don't know how long we're going to be in this captivity. We don't know how long we're going to be here, right? So we're still trying to prepare ourselves and prepare our thoughts. Like even when you go into Proverbs, when it says, train up a child in the way that he should go, or the way that they should go, and when they're older, they will not depart. That is going back to a spirit of preparation, right? So peep game. Another thing too, when it says, having set the priests according to their daily courses, being arrayed in long garments. If we go to Luke, I believe it's chapter 1 that I want really quick. We even see Zacharias being a part of the course of Abia, right? Right here we see Luke chapter 1, and I believe I'm going to start with verse 5. It says, there was in the days of Herod, the king of Judea, a certain prince named Zacharias, of the course of Abia. So these different courses, as you see, are different orders that were set up all the way back in the time of David. So when we go back here to this first Esdras, and we see where it says, having set the priests according to their daily courses, being arrayed in long garments, and in the temple of the Lord. Think about it. The priest couldn't come and be serving and doing his duties in a damn tank top. You know, the priest wasn't wearing a tank top and a muscle shirt, right? Or just linen breeches and a tank top. In order to be in order, the priests had to prepare themselves. Even their outward garment, outward appearance was a reflection of the spiritual order that they were following internally. You know, from the ephod with the 12 stones, the breastplate, the linen garment, all of these things were about preparing in order to be able to be of service. See, the Most High is all about order and preparation. And in order to obtain salvation through Yahushua, we have to be prepared, right? You have to, I want to get this quick in the book of Matthew, right? Let me get this 25th chapter. When it even goes into the virgin, all right, who didn't have enough oil, right, in their lamps because they were not prepared. So therefore, when bridegroom came, right, which in this parable is Yahushua, they didn't have enough oil in their lamps. And that oil, that pure pressed olive oil, goes into your spirit, keeping your spirit undefiled from the world, right? Having that purity, right? Being cleansed from all unrighteousness, which starts with the spirit, which guides the mind, right? The thoughts, your volition, and then dictates how you act. You know, where's your honor? You know, what is your thought process for things? How do you process information? How do you respond in various trials and tribulations and conflicts? All right, all of these things are going back to how are you prepared. That's why it says in the book of Ecclesiastes, set thy mind aright and constantly endure, even when you brought into a lower state, right? All of these things are founded in preparation. So we should be preparing our spirit. We should be preparing, even when it goes to when my wife's a chef, and I'm trash in the kitchen. I'm just gonna say it. But like when it comes down to even preparing a meal, you can look and see how there's certain processes in terms of preparing it. You cooking certain meats, right? Or sometimes if you're cooking fish, you gotta clean the fish, right? You gotta season the fish. You might have to marinate it. You might have to go, if you're grilling it, you have to get the charcoal. You have to soak it if you don't got match light. Even if you got match light, you have to prepare the fire. You have to wait until the fire dies down, and you have to wait till the coals are hot, right? You have certain the vent on top and on the bottom of the grill, which you have to prepare it in the right way so it has the right circulation of oxygen. So then when you put the fish on it, right, it doesn't burn it at the top, and then it doesn't cook it. It might sear the top, but the inside is not cooked. So there's certain different things that you have to do, even on a carnal level, when you're preparing things, right? Even preparation in terms of, like, as we stick into the dietary law, you have to even prepare when you go and to shop for the food. You have to already know what certain products contain abominations in them, right? So you have to prepare through reading the labels, right? If you're going into a certain restaurant, right, and you have to be prepared to read the menu and to know what things are abominable, what things can you have, what things can you not have. So life and in its truth is all about preparation. Even when we look about fringes, right, you have to actually prepare, because you have to wear fringes every day. So if you only have a certain amount of garments, right, you have to prepare in terms of your wardrobe of your rotation. You might not have, enough fringe shirts through the whole week. So you have to be mindful that you have to keep the law, and you have to have the spirit of preparation. So you might have 3 shirts that you wear to work that are your work fringe shirts. You may only, brothers and sisters, may only have a couple of fringe shirts or the sister garments to get through the week. So if you on Thursday and you only had enough fringes to get through Wednesday, then you should have already been washing them. You might not have a washer and dryer. You might have to wash them out in the sink by hand in the tub. You might have to dry them. So this truth is all about having that spirit of preparation. And that spirit of preparation goes into, our servitude, a righteous servitude, being able to be in the spirit to endure the process. You have to be able to endure the process, because all of the time the process isn't always straightforward. You might have certain obstacles that you have to go through in order to accomplish righteousness. All of these things we have to take in, and we have to be able to prepare our mind for it, right? So getting back to it, I'm gonna start at the top of this chapter, right? It says, Matthew 25:1. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. And 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. Now let's see why the 5 were wise and the 5 were foolish. Preparation can be the difference in between having a wise decision or a prosperous outcome, and having a foolish decision and an unprosperous outcome. All definitely go down to preparation. Preparation is also a skill set, y'all. No difference than somebody who knows how to paint physically, somebody who knows how to paint, right? Somebody who might be good with working with their hands. Some people may be more good on the cognitive side. I'm not saying that working with your hands doesn't have a mental capacity to it, but there's some occupations that are less physical and more mental. There's some occupations that are more mental and less physical. There's some occupations and skill sets that take a combination of both, right? Like being ambidextrous, as they call it, writing with both hands. So when it goes back to it, you have to understand that preparation is a skill set. And preparation, oftentimes, you have to prepare to be prepared. I know that probably sounds crazy, but you have to prepare yourself in order to even be prepared. It's a skill set that takes practice. I would say, me personally, it's something that I work on daily, because I realized that in a lot of aspects of my life, I am not as organized, Lord willing, as I would want to be. So even I have to be, and I think the Most High will put it on my spirit to even be mindful of the areas of examining that I need to be more prepared at. Simple things like this: disorder in your life. If you allow disorder in your life in any capacity, that's going to start to spill over in other areas. Like, for instance, my closet. My closet was chaos, disorganized. And it might have seemed like a small thing, but it wasn't. That disorganization was spilling over into other aspects of my life, right? And from simple things like this, it's disorganized, so it means it's taking me more time to figure out when I'm wearing, more time to organize dirty laundry, more time to do things. But then I had less time to that time that I'm taking to do these extra things. I could be taking that time to rest. I could be taking that time to do this. So preparation is all about preparation. And it's kind of like once again, it's the skill set that you have to develop, right? So getting back to it. So 5 of them were wise and 5 of them were foolish. They that were foolish took their lamp and took no oil with them. They were not prepared. You don't want to be in this truth with no oil. How can you? That's how you let your candle grow dim. And through the spirit, the oil can go into multiple. It can go into the fear of Yahweh, right? That can be your oil. It can go into wisdom. It can go into storing up this knowledge through the precept, right? That can be your oil, right? And you gotta see, everything that we read is for our learning, and there's a physical, carnal breakdown, but then there's also a spiritual application to these things. But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamp. Now, why would the wise take extra oil? Why would that be a wise thing to do? Because the wise were already thinking ahead. The wise who took oil already knew that there had to be a time, that there's only a certain lifespan of the oil that they had. They knew that once it got night and that oil had to keep burning, right? That oil would only last a certain amount of time. So they had to prepare and have extra oil there. So therefore they could be prepared and they could endure, right? While the verse 5, while the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. I'm thinking this through the spirit. Nobody knows when Yahweh is sending back Yahushua. Yahushua himself doesn't even know. He says he doesn't even know the hour. Paraphrasing, this all up to the Father. So if you're not storing up enough oil, right? If you're not building up the spirit through prayer, through fasting, through examination, through reading, right? Through edifying and being edified, right? Then you're going to run out of oil. And if you run out of that spiritual oil through the Holy Spirit, you're not going to have select. You're not going to be able to endure into that time that Yahushua comes. You'll be burnt out. You'll forget your first love. You'll get sifted out of this truth. God forbid. And you'll be back into the world because you didn't prepare your spirit to endure. You weren't wise. You didn't foresee the obstacles and things that may come, right? That you have to be built up in order to overcome. All right. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight there was a cry made, behold, the bridegroom cometh, and ye go out, and go ye out to meet. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamp, right? And when you go into trimming your lamp, you're trimming the wick, right? And the foolish said unto the wise, give us of your oil, for our lamps are going out, right? Their fire had gone out, right? On a spiritual level, right? They didn't have enough to endure, all right? And the foolish said unto the wise, give us of your oil, for our lamps are going out. But the wise answered, saying, not so, lest there be not enough for us and you. But go ye rather to them that sell and buy for yourself. Now think about this. They didn't have time. There wasn't time enough to go. Let's say, even if the merchants were, awake, it's midnight, y'all. So shops aren't open. Number one, the opportunity had passed. Number two, there had to be a distance that they had to travel, hypothetically speaking, even if they wanted to buy more oil, right? Some of them probably didn't even have enough resources, whether that be coin, money, whatever to barter, to go that distance and to obtain it. There's a lot of different steps into obtaining something, right? So it wasn't even practical and possible for them to go and obtain that oil. And even if it was, as far as the resources, say the distance was short enough, the bridegroom is here now. The bridegroom is not going to wait. He wants the virgins that are already prepared, right? And we have to be in that spirit. We have to be prepared by Yahweh for when Yahweh comes, right? So afterwards, verse 11, came also other virgins saying, Lord, look, let's start verse 10. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came. And they that were ready went in with him to the marriage, and the door was shut. We don't want to miss out on that opportunity when Yahweh come back and the door be shut, right? So all praise to the Most High Yahweh Shem Yahweh, to the Spirit, right? I'm gonna get this real quick, right? John 14:3. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. So we also want to be in the spirit to know that Yahweh Shai, right, has already went to prepare that place for us. So we have to follow Yahweh Shai's example, and we want to go and we want to be preparing that when Yahweh Shai returns, that he can take us to the place that he's already prepared for us, right? And so with that, we want to give all glory, praises, and honor to the Most High God, Yahweh. We do so by Shema Mashiach, like Yahweh, to the 12 tribes that scattered abroad, a greeting to the hopeful elect. Keep enduring, keep preparing, keep praying, keep fasting. We at war, y'all. Your praise is your war, is your weapons of warfare, right? One Yashab.